Hey, hey, lovely people. It's your girl, Kea Simone. So, I'm here tonight with an awesome group of ladies, okay? When I say awesome, these ladies are awesome. Tonight, we will be discussing a much needed conversation. The topic is Where My Girls At. It's kind of like a fun topic because I got it from the group 702, but we will be discussing the support amongst Black women or the lack of support. So, without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and bring the ladies in. We have Misha, Crystal, Kalita, Dina. And I'm just going in order because I'm new to this. This is my first live, y'all, so I'm a live virgin. And I have Amber, and I have Tina. And when the rest of the ladies come on, we'll just go ahead and add them. So just give me a minute. So how are you guys doing this afternoon?
Good.
Great.
Great.
So the first question is, so we'll just start off with just going in order, like Misha, and then we'll just go on in order. So can you guys introduce yourselves and just tell us like what is your passion or what path are you taking in life?
Okay, so hi, I'm Misha. So I do have my bachelor's of science in public health, where I work in healthcare administration. And I am a makeup artist on the side, and I own my own business, Queen of Life Cosmetics. So that is the path that I'm juggling right now.
Awesome. Krista?
Hi, I'm Crystal Annette, and was raised in California, born in the South, raised in California. Now I live in Atlanta, and I am a writer, producer, and photographer, and that's the path that I'm taking right now. I also work in corporate America, but I am really trying to make that my journey.
Miss Kalita, the woman of many hats.
Wait, Kia, you gotta take her off of your mute.
I don't have her on mute.
Kalita, you're still on mute.
We'll just move on to Tina while she's unmuting. Tina, can you tell us about yourself?
Yes. First, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I'm Tina Red. I am from Chicago. My path is I am a digital manager for a beauty brand here in Chicago, have been in the industry for the last few years, and I am also an author of first-time book, God, Me, or Karma.
Awesome. And we have Amber, one of my faves. Amber, can you tell us about yourself?
Hello, my name is Amber McCrae. I have a Juris Doctorate, which is a law degree. So I'm an assistant district attorney. I also have a food truck business called Cultural Fusion that I'm still working on. And I also was on Ready to Love season 4.
Awesome. Dina?
Hey everybody, my name is Dina. I work in corporate America as well. I'm a new entrepreneur. I decided to start 2 businesses at one time. Pray for me. I have a brand of Posh Potions, and right now I have Posh Potions Mobile Bar, and I also have Posh Potions Candle Bar. So both launched. Posh Potions Mobile Bar launched last year, and the Candle Bar launched this year. But I was working on them simultaneously. So I am happy to be here and happy to meet all of you beautiful young women.
Yes. Awesome. Everyone's looking very pretty today. So I just want to first, before we get started, just thanking everybody for coming because everyone I asked just jumped on without a problem. So again, I just thank you guys, Black women supporting each other. That's just what I do. If I see you posting something, I will share it if you know me. So we could just go. It's not in any particular order for the questions. So at what point did you want to give up? At any point, did you want to give up on your dream? And what made you keep pushing? Are you still pushing?
I can go first. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me
Yes.
this time? Yay! Okay.
Wait,
So
Kalita, you got to give us your intro again. We didn't get to hear it.
yes. I am a real estate agent in Southeast Michigan, and I just launched a shoe brand, Kalita Rose, and was pre-launching now, and it's going to launch in the end of September. So that's my thing. So that's been my dream, but I've had more businesses than I would like to say, but I have quit my dream. I did. I used to have an art business, and I was an entrepreneur. I worked in corporate America, and so it came to a role where it was give up. One was gonna need to take priority, right? So I gave it up, and I stayed in corporate America, and I worked during that time. And what happened is then my corporate job became just as risky. They started shaking it up and saying they didn't need as many people. And I was the last one. I was in a union. I was on the bottom of the list. So I was the first one to be let go if they decided to cut back. And it's led me on my road back to entrepreneurship. So I did have a dream and gave up on it. So yeah, so that's I know that story too well.
So I was just gonna pick on my fellow author Tina, because she's a first time author, and I could really we've never met, but we've published with the same publishing company. Mm-hmm. And I've never met her, but I feel like we're, you know how they say you're label mates, but we're not label mates. But we've never met. One moment. I'm sorry, trying to turn off my YouTube. Sorry, you guys. So with that being said, did you ever feel like giving up on your dream of being the first time author? Because it's hard when somebody's editing and tell you, make changes, and you like, this is my baby. So did you ever feel like giving up on that dream?
So no, I never felt like giving up, but at times it was daunting because I've been wanting to publish a book since I was in third grade, right? So I wrote my first book then, and so I always thought, life was going to be easy. Like you go to school, you come out, you get this dream job, and you just start doing all these things that you've always dreamed of doing, and that just wasn't the case. So I did have to work in corporate America for a while. Life was happening all this time in the back of my head. I'm like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm working jobs, I'm paying bills, but I knew that I had this passion that I just could not get out, out of my head. So I would work 9 to 5 jobs, and then I would work my own 9 to 9 in the morning again, writing, blogging, really, really just kind of teaching myself the game. But in the back of my head, I still knew that I needed to write. So for the last 10 years, I would say I've been working with a lot of brands writing. And then in the back of my head, like I said, I needed to write that book. And then something just came over me in 2019. I was going through a lot personally. And so I just kind of shut everything down. I got off social media. I wasn't talking to my family and friends. And I sat there and I wrote that book for 4 months nonstop. And then my whole life changed right after that. The book was finished. I got a job in the beauty industry doing social media management. And it's like everything just changed when I really started to take myself serious. So,
amen.
Okay.
Wow. I have to relate to the other lady. I can't remember your name in the polka dots.
Kalita.
Kalita, that was just speaking, because that actually happened to me. I was laid off, and I've always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. And I was living in Oceanside, California, and working in Carlsbad in corporate as an executive assistant. And I said, okay, this is my chance. I packed up my friend's truck and my car, and I moved to LA. And then I was producing plays, and I was working as an agent's assistant, and then an agent, a kid's agent. And I said, I have to do what I really wanted to do, that I've always wanted to do, and really getting in touch with that industry. I've had to do that. And then I had to reinvent myself again, moving here to Atlanta. So yeah, I've definitely been through that, just having to, your dream changes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So I said I was gonna let y'all just randomly pick But now I want to go with Amber because that's when I really like her story. Just drew me in on the show when she was the attorney and she was like sharing her background. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's like an awesome story. And so, would you like to share that with us? Like, did you ever feel like giving up? Because you were one of the first to do something different.
Yeah. So, when you're one of the first, so let me give you my background. So I was adopted at around maybe like 6 or 7 years old. Even into my adopted family, which I just call family, but just for references, today, when I was adopted into my adopted family, I still was the first, right? So everyone kind of lived their dreams through me. So it did take me a minute to kind of really be in tune with my passion, I would say, because everyone just wanted to live through me. Like I was in so many activities, which it did make me a well-rounded person, but still I kind of hated them all. So eventually I did find my passion, which is honestly just helping people, being an advocate. And that's how I ended up kind of randomly going down the path of being an attorney, because I heard a woman a lot like you guys here today who had it all. She was an amazing attorney. She worked her way through, it's male dominant. She had 7 kids. She had she had it all. Black, beautiful woman. And I was like, oh my gosh, you can have it all. So I went to law school. Law school was horrible. I hated law school. Anybody that says they love law school, I don't know how, but I did not like law school at all. But I did well. And then I took my bar. I failed because I wanted to work. I didn't study because I was making good money to be so young. I only missed it by like 4 points, but still. And then I retook it. When I retook it, my father died. My father that I grew up with, he died like literally the week before I had to take the bar. His funeral was the day before the bar started. So I would say for me, just to make it short and simple, that was the time where I wanted to quit. Because I was like, oh my gosh, I already failed. This is crazy. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So on and so forth. But I took it, and now I'm a district attorney and I get to help people all the time. So, I'm living my passion, my dream.
Awesome. So Ida, welcome.
Hey, I'm sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
I feel like I say that every day.
So we have to
I'm actually sorry today. When I say it at work, I don't mean it. I'm actually sorry today.
That's okay. So we start off by just asking everyone to introduce themselves. So would you like to introduce yourself and
Sure.
just tell us what's your path?
My path?
Your passion. Because sometimes we have a corporate American job or a job and it may not be our passion. So would you like to share with us what your passion is?
Sure. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and then we can go from there. So my name is Ida Cooley. I'm from Houston, born and raised. I went to Prairie View A&M University. And while I was there, I'll be honest, because since we're talking about paths and dreams deferred and things like that, I really, really wanted to go to Howard University. It was like my dream. Had never been there, never set eyes on it, but it just felt like the place where dreams come true. Like you just hear at that age, this was like before the internet and stuff like that, but I just felt like I just have to be up north because I really, really wanted to go into broadcast communications. I felt like I needed to be up north, which I feel like that was valid. But Howard was just not in the budget. I can remember getting my acceptance letter to Howard and them wanting a room deposit, and like we still hadn't figured out how we were going to buy my prom dress. So I was like, all right, I've always been pretty reasonable. So I was like, all right, I got a scholarship offer from Prairie View, and I was like, all right, I'm going to Prairie View. So that was the first thing that I was like, I felt like, oh, like I don't want to go here, but it turned out to be an amazing decision. And I had a great 4.5 years at Prairie View. My aspiration originally was to do broadcast journalism, so either TV or radio. And I found out very fast that everybody mama is telling them you should tell the news. Everybody mama telling them that apparently. And that it's a difficult industry to break into. And even when you do break into it, it's not lucrative until way later, if ever. So I just started doing like, I was like, all right, well, my minor was marketing. So to go back a few steps. So straight out of college, I was just like, all right, I need a job. So I took a marketing associate job, which was it's just a glorified admin. But I got to learn a lot about marketing. And then I take a marketing job at like a bigger company down south. And I worked there for 5 years. And then I got into retail sales and marketing. And now I do telecommunications, which is crazy because like I have a communications degree, but I really didn't plan on working for like a cell phone company, but I guess it worked out. But I would just say for me, I was kind of forced to pivot, obviously because I got bills, but I credit my mom for being a person that could like make $1 out of 15 cents. Like she always had a plan A, B, and C, and D. And so I was never a person that felt like, oh, well, you know, like when I meet people who are like, I have a degree, but I'm not working because I can't find a job. I'm like, I'll work anywhere. Degree be damned. I need a job. So, but I was fortunate enough to get into areas that were either parallel or directly connected to what I was, I guess, trained in. As far as a passion, is my job my passion? Like actually what I do? No. And I guess now you want to know what my passion is. I really, honestly, I really have, through working at one of my jobs, the job before this, and even this job, just seeing everybody's now current day, everybody is like so interested in D&I and everybody's included, everybody has a seat at the table. I'm only 37 only, but I haven't been in corporate America long enough to be like, I remember when we had to go to a separate lunchroom, but I can say my first job out of college, I was the only Black woman in my department. And I remember somebody coming to my desk asking me how to do the Soldier Boy Tell them. So, you know, that was when I was like, I don't know who that is. I knew who it was. But you know, I was like, who? But, you know, so we've come so far as a world for people wanting to seem like they're really into D&I. So to go back to that same job, part of my job responsibility was to manage partnerships with professional teams and colleges. And so I managed like some partnerships with like LSU and the Saints and the Hornets at the time. And so I was like, listen, I want to do a partnership like with Southern and like with Jackson State. And like, if we're spending money, let's spend some money. And the company was like, I mean, like, no, they wouldn't even carry their merchandise, stuff like that. So it kind of got me interested in how companies monetize on HBCUs when it's convenient. All the classics, this classic, that classic. Here comes Southwest Airlines, here come Coke, here come whoever. But if you go to these campuses and you see their athletic facilities, where is Southwest Airlines and Coke right now? Like the sign's falling down. I'm pretty sure you got a new stadium, but I paid for that. They just built it. I paid for it 10 years ago, honey, and them student fees. But to be more concise, I would say my passion is to explore how to monetize things for HBCUs because I feel like we're undervalued in the athletic arena, and we're kind of just like, it's like a consolation. Like, oh, we're on ESPN3 this weekend, and then they don't even show halftime. So, you know, that's my passion. And but you know, I work and pay my bills. But yeah.
So we all have passions. So, you know, sometimes when you share your passion with other people, how do you think the support is for you with other women, especially because that's why I'm doing this show. Because sometimes we're lacking and we're just kind of slacking in that department, supporting each other in our endeavors. So how is the support from other women during your process? So who would like to jump in first and say, you know, when you decided, like Crystal, she shared a story when she was in California, she decided to get up and go to California. And not Atlanta. Right? Like girl, who you know in Atlanta? What are you doing? So how was the support among other women during the process? Who would like to go first?
I'll piggyback on that because that's kind of my story. I started out in healthcare administration. Then I had my daughter, and it was like she birthed this new purpose in me. And I saw things differently. I had a different outlook on life and different priorities. I'm not going to lie. I was a people pleaser before. I lived my life for everybody else. And so then I have my daughter, and then all of a sudden now I'm into makeup and I want to pursue makeup and I want to start my own business. And there's a lot of people looking at, like, they were confused. So they thought I was confused. And so I had to deal with that. Like, where are you going with this? Why are you doing this now? Like, you went to school, you got your degree. Why don't you just do that? Why are you trying to do this? Like, so I dealt with that for a couple of years. And then people, once they started to see the fruitfulness of it, then they're like, oh, okay, I see it now. I get it now. But in the beginning, there was a lot of people like, what are you doing? Where are you going with this? Like, you don't know what you're doing.
Crystal, how long have you done makeup?
I have been doing that for the past 3 years.
Yeah, I can see how people would be, you know, oh, that's cute. So what you really doing? And you're like, they don't know as a freelancer, you can make a lot of money and you set your own schedule. Isn't that life goals?
Right.
I'll jump in. I'll add something to that. I guess, you know, the way you are, the experiences that you have coming up in life kind of shape you, right, into who you are and kind of guides you into directions, whether it's the direction you want it to be in or not. Hopefully at some point you end up on the right path. But I would say from an early age, I had really a good support system from a very strong woman, my grandmother. She raised me, so I kind of got to see what, you know, a strong woman looks like. But of course, she was much older, trying to raise a little kid. When I came to live with her, she was, I want to say she was about 60 years old. So that was probably a shocker for her that she thought that she was done, right? And here she is, 60 years old, taking in a 4-year-old little girl. So it was kind of, you know, tough because I'm raised by an older woman. So I have probably an old soul, and I'm content with being, you know, in the house with a remote control and the comforter, and you can leave me alone and I never have to leave the house, and I'm fine with it. But I will say, you know, over the years, I look at other people and I kind of always live through them, but that's because that's what I did when I was younger. I couldn't do certain things because, you know, my grandmother was older. She's not going to be, you know, sitting at the football stadium in the cold watching me cheerlead and she's shaking and shivering. She's not doing certain things, right? So there were certain things, you know, that I couldn't do that I would have loved to have done. I just wasn't able to. But she did pay for me an education. I never went to public school until I went to college. I went to a private school from kindergarten to 12th grade. So, you know, I got to experience a lot of things. I got to experience some, you know, other things as well that people in my neighborhood may not have experienced, because I still grew up on the east side of Detroit. Even though I didn't go to any of the schools, I was bullied by people in my neighborhood because, oh, you think you're better than, right? So I had to go through all of that. And then I had a kind of like a turmoil type relationship with my father, who was also in the house. So my goals were always centered away from getting away from certain things when I was younger. So it was like survival mode for me. Okay, when I get finished with high school, I need to go to college. My grandmother at the time was, she had Alzheimer's by that time. And she wasn't able to do any of the things that, you know, she probably aspired for me to do or for her to do with me at the time. So I was kind of like on your own. So you kind of go from being a spoiled little rotten kid to just on your own and having to try to figure out. So a lot of things that I learned early was just survival. So it's just me, myself, and I kind of learned early not to count on other people. So I didn't have much faith and trust in people. And then when I did have that type of faith and trust in people, they let me down, right? So when I got into this whole entrepreneurship thing that I'm still working my way through, because I'm learning and learning every day, I guess my expectation is not for other women to support me. because I'm used to it, right? I'm used to that not happening for me. So I would like to see women support women, and I would like to see it happen more. And I think that now that I'm in the role that I am in, and I'm looking at different people try to, step out on their dreams, sell their product that they've been working on all their life, owning their craft. I'm like the cheerleader in the background, like, sign me up to be behind you doing this, because I feel like I can at least show other people how this should look. So I definitely want to be that rah-rah, be that cheerleader. And of course, along the way, I hope I pick up some new friends that we cheer on together.
So you just said something interesting. We're going to introduce Lola, but you just said something very interesting that I just put in the chat, that you kind of got used to just people not supporting. And so should we just accept that as a norm? Because it's so easy to share, like, okay, well, this person is doing this. Or, you just share like the makeup artist. You may not wear makeup, but hey, let me put Misha on. Hey, you're having a wedding. My girl Misha do makeup, or whatever we're doing. Just it's like it's so easy. So is it a norm that we just accept it? Like, okay, because Kalita said something very interesting when I first wrote my book. She said you might have to go somewhere else because sometimes the people around you not gonna support you. She's like, it's an awesome book, but sometimes people just say they rock with you, not really rocking with you. So is that a norm we should be just accepting?
We shouldn't accept it, but it's definitely a norm.
That's what I was going to say. It's the norm, but we shouldn't accept it, and we shouldn't be like that just because we know that could happen. And that happened to me when I moved to Atlanta. I thought, oh, I'm in Atlanta now. I'm going to have, some other women that are going to, if I ask a question, like, they're going to just, oh, this is where I get this done. Oh, no, no. It wasn't like this. No. And well, because I'm like that. I'm absolutely. What do you need? I'll do your resume for you. Like I want, because I want to help and I want to make sure you, to build you up. I've always been like that, but not everybody's like that, Crystal. Not everybody's like that. So, and I do remember when I first moved here, I met a videographer, and I said, oh, that's lived here for a long time. So, how have you gotten? What's the best way for you to market yourself? In California, we do it this way, but how do you do it here? And she said, oh, I just, I just put myself out there. Like she just really. I said, okay, thanks.
Yep. Shape. Okay. Got it.
I just get my name out there. I said, okay, thanks. But it's not like that. And I said, okay, I'll do it myself. And I had to just do it myself. And it's sad because I'm not going to change myself. I was still, putting myself, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? And building other people up. But that's it.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to that, I do think, we shouldn't normalize it, right? But I think the best way, instead of just saying not to accept it, and which I think everyone here has said it or thinking, it is just to continue to be ourselves, to be those women that do support each other, that do encourage each other. We all said like, hey, I'll do your resume for you. I'm the same way. Like, hey, this is my girl. This isn't my girl. This is a talented person I just met today. I've learned so much about each and every one of you. If someone says, hey, I need an author, I need a producer, like I just met you guys, I'm like, hey, I heard about this person. Like, I feel like once we start doing that and, kind of, implying to people like this shouldn't be the norm. This is what we want to do. You should support each other. I think it can be a way where this no longer becomes a norm, right? And so I think that's just the best way to fix it, honestly.
And I want to jump in a little too, because I don't know if I can say that I feel like that's the norm, because I feel like that's somewhat situational. Maybe it's based on what everybody has experienced. I have been in my industry for a very long time, over 10 years. And I will say that the reason I'm sitting where I am at all of these different tables, the reason my book is published and all these different things is because somebody brought me in at some point, right? So it was never me saying I want to do this. Hey, here I am. It was me off in the corner studying my craft, and it was always somebody else either taking my name into those rooms that was both men and women, Or like I said, I have this big village saying like, Tina, you can do this. Where's this book? What about this? What are you doing? So that was my norm. I also think I know a lot of other people, those are their norms as well. And I think we should really get into the habit of talking about the good side as much as we talk about the bad side. And that's what I think a lot is going on these days.
And that's a good point. So we just had Lola join in, so I don't want everybody that's watching to think like, who is the new person? So Lola, can you introduce yourself, Dr. Lola? Like I've never met Lola. Lola,
Hey.
congratulations.
Forgive my tardiness. Yeah, a couple things happened, but I'm excited to be here and to kind of jump into the conversation you guys are having. Is it the norm? It happens frequently, but I still don't want to accept it as the norm. So if I look at my example, for me, my journey is different from most. So yes, I went to med school, but before that, I was a pharmacist. And so I was a non-traditional student. And so the process of going to med school with 2 children was it was something I wasn't prepared for. But the truth is, you may get 9 no's, but I got 1 yes. And what I mean by 1 yes is, yes, it was difficult, but there was someone who stood in the way and said, you know what, hey, Lola, do you need some help? I remember there was an example. You know, of course, med school, you don't work. I've got 2 children. I've got bills. I've got a house. I've got a mortgage. I've got all these real life things, but I'm still in med school. And I have a friend, and I do have trouble asking for help. I'm not going to come out and say I've got the stiff upper lip and I'll just kind of keep it in and bottle it in. And there was one time where I was running low on funds. I just didn't have the money. And I remember talking to a friend of mine and just kind of telling her, something about this, the car, the grocery. And literally 2 days after that conversation, maybe I had $5 in my account. I don't know what I had. And I got something in the mail. It was a gift card for $200. It was like a gift from God. And she sent it anonymously. Later on, I found out it was her, but it just came through the mail with no return. And I knew it was somebody who knew that I needed money. I didn't know who it was, but she was a student too. This is the joke here. She was a student too, but she looked at me and said, you know what? This is my sister. She needs something. I'm going to send it to her. And so there are a lot of things that happen that make us feel we don't get that support. But in every 10, there's someone who's going to stand up for us. And for us, we should be that next person. So now it's like knowing that I've had these odd kind of stories where people just kind of step in and just help. Like I remember when I was going on interviews for residency, I was nervous. Okay, I'm a non-traditional student. I'm older than most of the residents, and they're going to want to take me. And I remember my first interview. This was somewhere in North Carolina. The lady stopped the interview. She didn't even start the interview. She looked at me and said, I just want to say I'm so proud of you. So it's like when you get those kind of examples where people just stop and do something for you, you return it, you pass it on. So it's like me remembering that. It's like, yeah, I've had stories where the people who I was close to, maybe they didn't kick in so much, but because I experienced that kindness from strangers, I can be that for other people. So I meet lots of people nowadays who, they're in different careers, but they might reconsider, you know what, I was thinking med school, I'll do this. And I take it upon myself. I'll always give my text number, my email, so you know what? Talk to me about it. If you hear my story, then you can do it. If I could do it, you can too. So that's kind of what I do. We may have bad stories, but if we use ourselves as an example, then we can kind of eventually turn it around. That's kind of how I see it.
So Lola just said something very interesting. You have not because you ask not. So is that the problem? Because, I took a chance. All you ladies that are on the panel today, I only asked one time and you guys jumped on, no problem. Like, some of you guys had not never met me. Most of you guys never met me. But you guys said yes. But I had to look around and say, I haven't even met a few. It's like, no problem. Okay, cool. So that was the support. So it's not that we don't think the support is real. Because, it's some of us that will, like I said, Lola's story that will surprise you and go over and beyond. But do you think it's our pride also that gets in our way where we have not because we ask not?
I mean, to a good extent, because my sister says something. She says, closed mouths don't get fed. Mm-hmm. That's true, right? But think of it. We don't ask because we've got a couple no's. But sometimes when you're discouraged, why do you want to ask? So it's like it's half and half. You get discouraged because you've got a couple no's, but sometimes you just have to keep pushing. And the truth is, if we put this message out there, I feel like as women particularly, I feel like guys always have the bro code. They do the hand pound or the handshake and they kind of lift each other up. Women would do that less, but there is a consciousness I feel that is coming amongst us that it's changing. Now, has it completely changed? No, but it's changing. But the truth is, there is that fear. Like if you don't ask, someone doesn't know. But then, of course, there's some people who just kind of watch you. Like a lot of people that helped me, I didn't ask for the help. They just felt it. And like, you know what? Let me help her out. So it's like half and half. And I get it. You know what? The truth is, I get it, because if you're in the middle of something and you're embarrassed by it, you're ashamed by it, you're not going to reach out. And that's the moment where you or someone else, one of us, when we see that, that's when we should reach out to somebody else. And I feel that's the whole point of this show, Where My Girls At. It's like you see someone, you don't even have to be close to them. And it's just, pull them to the side and offer. Don't even wait for them to ask. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we do it. If we do it to someone else, that person we did it for will do it to somebody else. So it's like a thing. It's like a cycle that we have to start it if it hasn't come to us yet.
Yeah, and to piggyback off what Lola said, I do think it's like for me personally, my village, like my mom, my sisters, since we're talking about women, like my friends, they're very supportive, right? And to me, that was all I needed. But for other people who may not, have that support, it's good to be that example. Like, hey, when I was in law school and people reach out to me, like now I've done it, right? I have people reaching out to me now, like, hey, what do I need to do for the LSAT? Like, can you help me? La, la, la. They don't have to be the closest friend or my sister or whatever. Like the fact that you need help, you're a woman, you want to go through this process. I want you to be better than me. So I'm going to give you the game. Like, here, this is what you need to do. This is what you study. This is what you need to focus your time on. These are the practice questions you need to do. You need to make sure you know how to do time management, so on and so forth. And so what I mean by like the support, I think some of us do have that support. Our grandmother, our sisters, some people in the village. But I think, sometimes we find an issue finding that support in the workplace. Like, hey, I'm new to this job. I don't know what to expect. I'm new. It's just good to have that support that's outside of your immediate contact and the immediate relationships that you have. So I think that's something that we can work on more so. But I do think that there is a change. I have seen more of that come about. Social media is a really good platform. You're using it very well, Kea, now, so I do think that there's a change and that we have acknowledged like, hey, this has been a problem and we want to come out of that problem.
I wanted to piggyback on that too, because something just sparked something in me while you were speaking. I think sometimes with us, with women, especially Black women, I think sometimes we look at each other as competition instead of that support that we should be giving one another. And my sister, she always tells me we'll be talking about business things because she has a business venture that she's brewing right now. And we kind of both started it at the same time. She was doing her thing, I was doing my thing. And I remember, just having conversations and certain things. She's like, don't tell people you're going to do that. And don't say that. Don't be telling all your ideas. If you ask me for help or you ask me a question, I don't know how to not tell you what I know. Right. But I get what she's talking about, because you have people, and especially women, that you kind of fellowship with, and instead of you looking at them as a helping hand trying to help you do something, you might start looking at people as competition, and it's really not competition, right? Everything that you do, you have your way of doing it. I have my way of doing it. It's going to be different. It's not going to be the same way or the same method. I might not have the same success that you had. It might not be my God chosen right to be, on this platform or level of this particular thing, but it may be yours. I'm not going to be mad at you because you're doing better than me in that avenue. I'm going to be like, so how you do that? And which way did you go when you said this? You know what I mean? I'm going to be trying to figure out how you maneuver so I can look at myself to see if I'm maneuvering in that same manner. And I think we should just stop trying to look at each other as competition and know that we are together and trying to reach a certain goal. I think we're all just trying to be successful. We're all just trying to live in our dreaming and our purpose. Why don't we help each other get there? If you know something I don't, tell me what it is that I need to know. I wouldn't let you stand in the middle of the street and the bus is coming and I don't tell you to get out the way. So that's like what you should do with supporting each other. No, baby, you might not want to go down that road because, this kind of happened. Let me tell you what could potentially happen. Now you can go, but, this might happen.
But I'm sure, like you said, when your sister, like when she said, okay, don't share yourself, we all do things different. So I'm not going to hate on Tina because her book is different than mine. So just because I tell her like some tips, she gonna have a whole nother flair. Cause y'all know I always nickname myself Eastside Kia. So mine gonna be all the way different. So Dina does candles. My scents are not gonna be the same. I'm not in her house. I don't know what she over there doing. I might be like, Dina, these candles are, dripping all over the place. But we all doing something different. Like you have your own flair. So like even as an Amber, the attorney, she's an attorney, but I'm sure not another attorney like her. She got her own little.
Hello.
Right. But
No.
you're right. We all do something different, and we are not here to. And I really believe it is a point of either judgment or jealousy. And I don't understand. I know where that comes from, but we really should not be like that. And I actually have those champions in my personal life, like good friends that I've known for years. That when I did move here to Atlanta, there one friend that I hadn't seen in years. She was like, "Oh, when you coming? Come on, stay with me." And I stayed with her for 2 months until I got my place and my job and everything. But as far as the career was concerned, everybody was closed. Nobody was there to help. And it was so interesting. That's okay. I can do it myself. I'll figure it out, and I will build my own, I'll build my own tribe, as you said. But I do think that there is some type of, and it's a judgment and a jealousy, and you shouldn't be that way. And
it could be an insecurity. I think it could also be insecurity.
That too.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah, that's kind of what Max just put in the comments. Max always have the best questions. So she's like, do you think that we've been taught that there's limited space for us? Because, Ida was the, she said she was in corporate America, and they asked her to do, what she say, Soldier Boy? She was like,
Soldier Boy.
Now, Ida, she wouldn't have been that way. So for another Soldier Boy. Do they want you to do it in the office?
Yeah, we were in the office.
But with that being said, so let's say another Black woman came into the office. Do we feel like it's only limited space? So okay, well, I'm not going to show her how to get to the parking garage. I'm not going to give her any pointers.
Oh no, I'm the person that at my job now, in our building, we have like a kind of like a satellite office for my company. And when I see anybody, Black man or woman, that I don't know, I'm like, hey, you new here? They're like, yep. I'm like, well, okay, let me go in your calendar to take you to lunch. I just want to say like, hey, welcome. If you need something, I've been in my job for almost 10 years. So I'm like, if you need something, let me know. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. Like, I don't even know what their job is. I'm just like, I ain't never seen you here before. You want to walk to Starbucks with me? Like, I'm just a person that's like, I feel like what's for me is for me. And it's so many different jobs at my company that like, if you here to take my job, well then just say that, sis. Like, I am not insecure. And I feel like a lot of people in the workplace who feel like they're insecure because they feel threatened by, the limited space. I fortunately, I always tell my sister this, I was not raised with a jealous heart. Like, I don't know how you get that, but I'm not a jealous person. So I just feel like if something happened and they brought in somebody for me to train my replacement, that's just kind of what it is. Like, I don't take anything personal because I could also be the best worker at my job and die today, and they would still post my job either way. So I just feel like I'm always the person that's like, good morning, how are you? But at that same job, I did have a lady who they asked her to train me on like a system, a purchase order system. And she said that she couldn't do it. She didn't say why, but she was the resident angry Black woman. So they didn't question her because they scared her. And so like maybe a year later, we became friends after she determined I wasn't a threat, which I don't even know what you do, sis, but okay. And I asked her, I said, well, why did you tell them you can train me? And she was like, because I thought they brought you here to replace me. And I was like, we had an honest conversation. And I told her this was her first job. She had been there for 20 years, but this was her first job. I told her, I said, you got to get out of that because you're so talented. She's so smart, so talented. She could run that place with her eyes closed. I said, but your attitude and stuff like this is what's keeping you back. I was like, I don't want your job. I was like, I don't want this job. I mean, like, since you're tripping. But I told her, I was like, just honestly speaking, like, you should just think about how you handle people because you're like what you're portraying is hiding your talent. It just is.
So in your field, Lola, do you have that same problem where, certain people, refuse to help you?
Very, very much so. You will come into contact with people who Like, for example, it's just as simple as getting, let's say, help me get a patient somewhere. I mean, I do come into contact, and what I find is that the basis really is insecurity, one. And then two, some people are more inclined to be like that. Like, their energy is different. Like, I don't know Ida, but I get a sense like she really is that kind of person. Like, she'll just like, hey girl, like, there's this lady, so I moved to Syracuse for a short while. I was down there, new person, just walking around, no car. And this lady, one of my neighbors, she lives like a block away from me. She just stopped talking to me. Oh, you moved here too? She just pulled me and she took me around the whole area. That was her. That's her energy. Some people, it's a lot easier for them to put themselves out there. Others, they're just based in insecurity. But the thing is, us, you, me, this conversation, we can bring people out of it. Because the truth is, we have been indoctrinated as women to believe that there's only one top spot. That we can't all do the same thing. We can, because we're all made differently. But we really don't see that. Like, the system doesn't allow us to feel like, oh, this is who we can be. We've been put in such a position where we feel that we're competing with each other in everything. Let's not talk about males. Let's talk about the work industry. Let's just talk about how we look. Like, most of the time, women, we dress for each other. We don't dress for men. Like, look, Amber, I'm seeing with those braids. You're not dressing for some other dude. You're just like, I can admire you and say these things. But sometimes it's like, when we don't know each other, first of all, we just kind of stand back and we hold it to our chest. Like, for example, it's Mishaya. How do you pronounce your name? Am I pronouncing it properly?
Misha, yeah.
Misha, like, your face is well done. My face is naked. Like, I can come to you and tell you, okay, come and teach me a thing or two. And I think it's just that comfort level
You're
of just
beautiful, Lola.
accepting each other. And I think the more we reach out, I love that we're doing this. Because, yeah, I had 100 million things to do. But when I heard the topic, Kia, I was like, I have to jump on and be a part of it. Because I think the more we put it out there, the more we talk about it, the better we become, the more aware we become. We're not in competition with each other. We're individually made the way we are by God. So we could be doing the exact same thing, but it's going to be different because I'm designed differently. Like, the way I go around being a doctor, I'm a little different. Like, I crack jokes, I do this. Somebody else is not going to be me. And so I understand that, but somebody else may not understand that. So that's what we just have to keep pushing. And also, some people are still in their shell. We have to kind of give them that room. Like, I'll meet a woman I don't know. She has something I find interesting. We'll get talking. Now, I'm not an extrovert. I'm actually an introvert, but there's certain things about women that I'm just drawn to because I feel like we don't fight enough for each other. That's why we're in the position we're in right now. We need to do more fighting. Like, I remember, what was it? What was that live that we did with Kojo? The very first one. I got the name Smoke Artist only because, let me explain, only because this was the Kalfani, I can't remember, Adriana thing. And to me, how I felt like, I'm sure Kalfani gave her a private apology, but she hadn't gotten a public apology. And that was the only basis of me just kind of playing. And he was a wonderful person with it. He played along and kind of said sorry, but that was the only thing I was thinking. Like, I don't know this sister, but she's got some stuff from outside. We're all kind of looking at her, but she never really got it. She probably got sorry behind closed doors, but she was embarrassed publicly. So let me chat with him and say, hey, dude, say something. And that's it, really, just that thing for women I have. And I think more of us, the more aware we become of it, the more we'll do it for each other.
And just to sorry, y'all, I have to go grab my charger. But I think it's something that we may, just from history, we've been taught to be put against each other, right? And so it's now that we are becoming more conscious of it. Like, it's an unconscious thing because that's what we were taught without even, we were brainwashed. We didn't even know we were being taught to be put against each other.
Yeah, taught to compete.
Right. Taught to compete, taught to be put against each other, taught to have that competitive nature amongst us. And so it takes time to break that down, right? We still live in a time where there's racism, just out flat racism. We're still getting through so many hurdles and obstacles as Black people. And so it takes time to break that down, to really get to the bottom of it, to really narrow down the true issue. And so I think that we are in a time where now we're more conscious of these things. We're becoming more aware of these issues, and now we're able to address them as they are brought forth. So it may take a little bit more time, right? But these type of conversations, this type of platform, and as we continue to move forward, I think it will change, and it's already changing, and it's always in our hands, right? So.
And I just, want to add to what, everybody's on the panel. Like, we're coming on, like Lola was like, okay, Amber, them braids are killing it. So there's no insecurity. Let's just take that out. Hey, Misha, I don't know, we're going to have to put some tips. But instead of, like, hating on each other, we could just, hey, sis, and don't feel like it's going to be a problem when you come to someone, because that's where the pride, I think, comes from, because you've been rejected. Because if you don't know what rejection feels like, then you're not scared, right? So I just think we just have to do better. So what are some ways that we can do better? Like, how do you support your tribe? So the lady that's out there that's watching, maybe she don't realize that she's not being supportive. Because Lola mentioned something interesting also. Sometimes you got to look at the signs, because everybody, is not going to say, hey, I need $5. So how can we do better?
Show up.
Yeah, each one, reach one.
Show up. Yeah.
Reach one. So, everyone on here for the most part kind of have the same, spirit, like very given, ready to go out and help the next person. So being that change that we want to see. So, when you see your sister who's in need, whether she's saying something or not, you scroll through social media, you see something, reach out, help that person. I know that's what I'm big on. That's what I teach a lot of the young women who I work with, the same thing. Like, we all have to help each other. It's easier to get there together than I'm just trying to do it by myself. And I think that's the mindset that people have to get out of, more of a collaboration versus this is all about me.
Great point. So
I agree with that. I think that we have to be more selfless. And I don't mean that, like, I think that, like, Kia put together a pretty good panel of, like, people who are kind of already proactively moving in that direction, or kind of, birds of a feather in that respect. However, I think that sometimes we have situations where, like, we could do more, like when Lola was talking about the gift card. Like, I know everybody knows somebody who was impacted through, COVID financially or economically, whatever, through their jobs. And so, like, for me, if I'm on Indeed, like, passively, or if I'm on anything and I see something that somebody might like or might want, or makes me think about somebody, I will find, like, okay, I don't have their phone number, let me find them on Instagram and send this to them. And so, like, I always joke with people, like, if I be sending people jobs all the time. I'm like, listen, if you don't want me to send you jobs, just say to stop. But I saw this and I thought about you. And one of my coworkers actually applied for a job that I sent him, and he got it. And for me, like, I feel great about that, because I wasn't interested in the job, but I thought about him when I saw it, and I know he'll never forget that. So I'm like, yeah, I'll see you at the top. Like, that's always my mentality. You help somebody, like Amber said, like, help somebody, they will never forget that. And you hope that they exceed and go above and beyond what you're doing, because, like, everybody in corporate America knows it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so if you're that person to somebody, you don't know where that person is going, or where they're destined or preordained to go. Just always be selfless, no matter who it is. So that's how I definitely proceed through life. And from the smallest thing, like, girl, they got the eyebrow pencil on sale, to I saw this job and thought about you. I'm sending it.
And I think also, just correct the incorrect. The reason Ida and I are good friends right now is we were both on the show Ready to Love. We kind of already felt each other's energy. And so she was like, girl, I need some translucent powder. Do you have anything? She's asking out loud, and nobody, wanted to say anything. Not saying they, they could have been nervous about the show or anything, but I heard Ida. I'm like, girl, I got some right in my bag, girl. Just grab it, right?
This is a true story.
This is a true story.
We've been on
down the
13 hours.
Down the line, there was a lie said about Ida to kind of get the girls to separate from her, right? And we're all kind of like, what? But I hit up Ida, and I'm like, and I tried multiple times. Okay, so I learned this is just Ida's, like, she's busy, whatever. So it's no, like, harm or anything like that.
I'm a text person.
Yeah. And so I finally got in contact with her, and I'm like, hey, let's just go out to lunch, right? Let's go out to dinner. Let's do something. And we did. And I addressed that. I'm like, hey, this is what was said. I don't know to take it for truth or not. But, I didn't want to just, not talk to you, communicate with you, not, continue what I thought I saw in you on this day just because of what someone said. I don't want to tear down another Black woman. I'm not about that, so on and so forth. And I mean, we had such a great time. Everything that was said about her obviously was a lie. But had I not corrected, myself to say, like, I'm not going along with the crowd or what was said about her and not reach out to Ida, which, you know, Ida wasn't responding at first. So I didn't know if she was just being funny acting or what. You know, it was so many assumptions that could have been made, right? But, you know, I said, hey, I'm going to go on a limb. I'm just going to reach out. And if she wants to have dinner, that's fine. If not, that's fine. But we're great friends now just from that instance. So I just feel like, you know, if you don't go along, you correct the incorrect, right? You know, like I'm like, hey, I talked to her and we're great friends. Everybody's like, what? Y'all friends? Yeah, because I reached out. You know, you don't have to do it rude, but, you know, just saying like, hey, I'm going to go support. I mean, I know y'all don't want to support, but I'm going to go support this person. Even if, you know, she has a nasty attitude. I've done that before. Like, hey, I'm still going to go to her event. I don't care if she had a nasty attitude. I'm going to go to her event. She needed the support. She invited us. I'm going to kind of go away from the crowd. Whatever y'all do, y'all decide to do that. But I'm going to just go support. I'm just going to go to her baby shower, whatever the case may be. So I think, you know, kind of taking that stand too, to kind of give people and imply to them like, hey, what you're doing isn't right. I think that also could help with that issue.
Leading by example.
I think that was key in what you said too, with supporting. And no matter what's going on, the fact is they asked you to come, they asked you to support. You see that you could do something by supporting them to go and do it. I always tell people, even my family, it's a lot of girls in my family, and we're more than cousins. We're friends too. So a lot of my friends are actually family.
That's good.
And, you know, I always tell them all the time, they always talking about me being late. They even got a theme song for me. I was on time today. I was on time today, but they always talk about me being late, and they have a theme song, and they will sing it upon my entry, okay?
Let's hear it.
And when they finish singing it, I'm not going to sing it to y'all. But when they finish singing, I always say, but am I here?
Okay.
And so I kind of try to remind them all the time, but I'm here though. So I might be late, but you can always count that I'll be here and that I'm going to show up and I'm going to cheer you on. Especially if you tell me or invite me, I'm coming. And I'm a moody person. So I might be there with attitude, but I'm there.
Are you a Scorpio? Are you a Scorpio?
I'm not a Scorpio. I am an Aries.
I knew she was going to say that.
When I'm late, I always say, I'm late, but am I ugly? Sis, did you want me to just pull up with the afro? Because when this turns to afro, it's the afro. I'm here.
No, seriously, Ida.
Yeah, it's the afro.
It's a no afro, but you're cute. Like, okay, you wanted me to get it together.
Right. The internet is forever. I was a little late today because, hello.
I get it. And so Dr. Onu is in the things on my Scorpio stand up. So I don't know who, he must be a Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio.
Oh, see? So when you just, I really like what Amber just said. Like when she could have judged Ida based off of what others said. So how many times, I know it's not none of us ladies on the panel, but how many times have we, like, you know, had a misconception about somebody because of what others said? You know, people, that's the game of, like you said, women, because it's the insecurity, you know, like looking at Amber like, oh, she thinks she's pretty. Oh, okay, well, she this type of way, but she not. She was like, when Ida first did Didi's show for me, I didn't think it was Ida. I was like, when I see the pop, I was like, okay, it is Ida. And when I reached out to Amber, she was like, okay, I'll do Didi, but he's in America now, so I don't know if he's still watching, but that's why he, you know, didn't do any more shows. But they were both cool. So do you think like that women have a problem with having these misconceptions and get so caught up in their friends, their girlfriends, and miss an opportunity? Like people tell me, like, for example, I'm just quiet. I observe because I'm a writer. So people were like, oh, Tia was mean. I thought she was mean. People, like, a lot of people still be saying that, like, oh my God, you're evil. Like, I just thought you were this way. And I'm like, no, I'm a cool chick. So are we at fault for listening to our sisters about people? Because
I'll add to that, Kia, because I'm the same way. I say I'm not shy, but I'm to myself. So I'm not outgoing. I'm not going to be the loudest one in the room. And people label me. as stuck up. So they would say she's stuck up, she's this, she that, she thinks she's better than everybody. And I'm like, no. And so many people that would continue to talk to me, they would say, oh, you're nothing like I thought you were. I'm like, what did you think? So, and I also want to get into not liking somebody because your friend don't like them. You don't have to be best friends with them, but I think the importance of giving everybody their fair share. Because I've had it about me in the makeup and beauty community. You're online, it's social media. So one girl don't like you, they think you're better than them, they're going to get their whole group chat to not like you and not support you. So for me, I learned the importance of getting to know everybody for me, no matter what has been said. If they show me the same colors they show them, okay, then I have the right to judge them however I want. I'm not judging, but but I think just getting to know people not based on what somebody said, because everybody experiences people differently. Like I may come off to someone else as shy, but to someone else I'm outgoing because it's a different vibe. I feel more comfortable. There's so many things that attribute to that.
Absolutely. Crystal, you've been kind of quiet. What's up with you, Crystal, over there?
I was gonna say that actually comes from fear. When we judge before we even know someone, you are afraid to step to someone that Misha might be just quiet or she's just a different demeanor. But I had to actually remember that. I had to actually think about that and say, this has nothing to do with me. I had to, because when I started my new job where that happened with the story I was telling you earlier, I got a lot of, how did you get this job? I got a lot of, that who does she think she is type of thing, or the talking behind my back. But I actually have excellent hearing. They didn't know that. So, and I said, you can ask me how I got the job. The sad thing is, like when another job came up, the same girl that was talking about me, I was like, well, do you need help? Do you need, another job came up. So I was helping her with her resume, and I was helping her like this, that, and the other. So I just think that comes up that you're just, why are you so afraid? But I had to think about that because, you're coming into a new space, new people that you don't know. You're working on your own assumptions too. You're trying to make it as well. So I had to remember that. And it's a constant that we have to be in a constant state of self-talk. There's negative self-talk and there's positive self-talk. And I really think, Misha and I were talking on one of the review shows, and she said a lot of times us Black women are labeled as bossy or stubborn, and they take the negative nomenclatures, they take the negative words, but the white women, the Caucasian women, and we really started to think about that. Bria was labeled as bossy, and I said, was Haley called stubborn? Was she called any? And I said, no, she wasn't. But we really have to remember that. And we really have to think, I'm already coming in with 2 strikes against me. So I have to, I already have to have that veil of positivity, and I already have to have that positive self-talk, and people are already afraid. Yeah.
Yeah. So Amber, when she just mentioned something really interesting, so in your field, you get a lot of that because you're an attorney, so you have a tough job. So when you come off a certain way, are you mislabeled?
Yeah, feisty, aggressive. It's because I'm very tough, and defense attorneys come with their, hey, I'm doing this, and I'm like, no, let's take it to trial. I'm very matter of fact, so I could get those labels. I don't really care, because I'm gonna try to be the best at my job. I'm gonna make sure that I follow through. So it's kind of getting old with people running with that. It's not going to stop me from doing the best that I can with my job. So I don't really care. It works for my job, but yeah, of course you're going to get that title. They want you to, hold back or don't do this or don't say this or whatever. But luckily I'm also it kind of balances too, because I'm also in that profession as a DA where we're kind of just like that. So it's not uncommon for just the women in general. We're all kind of like, it's not uncommon in that profession to be kind of tough, very matter of fact, because we have victims, we have the state, we have cases, and we have to be like that. And we all have our style or whatever. So it's also not common, so it kind of balances out.
So, ladies, we're not gonna, stay all night, because again, this is my first time going live, but I just feel like this is an important topic that we need to cover. So, for that young lady, I'm gonna jump over Tina, because Tina was like, "Okay, let's talk about the positive." So, that young lady or that woman that's thinking about starting her own endeavor, whether it's, because a lot of times people get, into their prime when they're like 45 or 50. So you don't have to be 20 years old. So what advice would you give that person that want to follow their dream, but they're scared to follow that dream?
They have to know what their dream is first and have a clear idea of it, a good picture of it. For me, the way it happened for me is the way I can tell people. So I'd always known. So I was a pharmacist at first, and I practiced for 10 plus years. But then there was always something in the back of my mind that I kind of knew. I was 6 when I had this. I won't say it was a vision because I was wide awake. So I grew up in England. I was watching BBC, and I remember seeing a bunch of people in scrubs in their operating room. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I didn't know what that was, but I knew what it looked like. And I talked about it. And then for a while, I guess I forgot about it. I didn't talk about it anymore. Went to pharmacy school, finished, was practicing. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, who am I? What do I need to do? This was years of just questioning myself. And then that thing came back to me, remembering that that's what you said you wanted to do. Knowing it is one thing, the journey is another. So I'm a Christian. I'm not a pastor by any means, so I probably didn't go about it the right way.
Pastor Lola.
I kept praying about it. And then there was one time in service, my pastor said something, and I just kind of held on to that. And that's what started the journey of med school for me. And I think also having a good circle. And you don't need a circle. You need 1 or 2 people. One of the people I remember speaking with, someone I went to high school with, I called her, I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking about blah, blah, blah. I want to go to med school again. And she just stopped me in my tracks. She said, I've heard this from you since we were teens. You don't do this now, I'm never going to talk to you again. Like, I was like, what? Like, it wasn't just I support you. Like, if you don't, I'm going to forget you. And it was just 1 or 2 things, that little seed, and that got me going. It was quite a journey. We all know there's the MCAT. I've got 2 children. I've got to think about bills. All these things that could tell me why I shouldn't do it. But I didn't focus on that. I focused on literally it was 1 step at a time. I couldn't see as far as the next month. But lo and behold, I'm sitting in my house. It's still here. Through med school, which is $0. I'm actually spending dollars. So the biggest thing for me is like what your dream is, know what it is, have 1 or 2 people in your circle to keep encouraging you. If whatever you believe in, if you meditate, you're Buddha, you talk to God, you need that, because sometimes some things don't make sense and you need something to rely on. For me, there was always this word in my mind that, he's going to get me through this. He'll make a way where there's no way. I remember just feeling that because I was like, yeah, how am I going to feed the kids? All these things, all the reasons why would come up, but there'll all be something that say, you know what, you can do it. And another thing I did was, some days would be really rough where I wouldn't say I wanted to give up, but I just didn't feel like it. And all I would do was just go to sleep and wake up the next day to start the journey all over again. And I think that's what just got me. So it's like you definitely need the stamina and understanding. You need a good core. But it's always good to have someone to talk to, which is why I like to be that for someone now. Because a lot of ladies, I remember there's someone I worked with in the hospital. His wife wanted to go to med school, but she didn't really know what to do. And so when I spoke with her, I'm like, look, this is what happened to me. You have support with your husband. You've got this. You can do it. So if you can get one good person who can keep talking to you through those times where it feels like nothing works, that's half the journey right there, having a support system. But believe in yourself. And that's where your spirituality comes into it. If it's not God, it's somebody else. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that there's a vision. In the Bible it says, write the vision down and make it plain. If you don't know what it is, you can't follow it. Did I have everything written out? I didn't. And I keep telling people, it's like, I didn't have all the money in the bank. I had nothing, but I'm still here and I got through it. So it's just having that belief and knowing. and just having one or two people, if it's family or if it's not, because sometimes family can't see your vision. They think you're crazy. A lot of people said, why are you giving up the money you're making right now for the unknown? Because it was never about the money. It's like, even now, I'm a doctor right now. It's not really about the money. I want to do it just because it's fun. I need another side hustle to pay my bills. That's what I'm saying. So if you make it about the money, it kind of narrows down your dream, I think. So you really need to be focused and be plain.
So Ida just, I don't, we all call her Pastor Lola.
Pastor Lola.
Pastor Lola. I said, wait a minute.
That was a word. That was a word.
It was a word. So Tina, you want to follow up on that, but really, like she said, you got to know what that dream is. Because a lot of us will get into some stuff just to follow. Because I already ordered my shoes from Toledo, but I don't think I'm, going to be designing shoes. But hey, we got to know what your vision is. Write it down, make it clear. So I want to follow up with Tina, and then I think Crystal raised her finger. So then Crystal.
So for me, I would say a very important thing that a lot of people overlook is to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So, it's a lot of dreams. There's a lot of, I want to do this, but it's a lot of talking. It's not a lot of work being put into whatever their dream or whatever their passion is. And I say that because the other thing I would say is let people know what you're doing. Whatever your dreams are, the things you're working towards, because at some point, someone is going to take your name into the room. You're going to get one opportunity a lot of times, and you have got to be ready. And I know a lot of people who have gotten those opportunities and they weren't ready because they were just talking. They weren't really doing the work. So do the work and stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So when your opportunity presents itself, all you have to do is step right into it.
Okay, so Crystal, you raise your finger. You're a church Lola, we passing the offering plate now because we got to pass the plate because Lola just took us out.
Right. And I was actually going to piggyback on what Lola says. Sometimes you don't know what your dream is. You see it as a kid. And I saw that entertainment industry as a kid. I didn't know exactly what it was, but you can grow that. And, when you age comes and money comes or money disappears and you don't have it and you have to get a job in the corporate world or not have to. That's what your dream is and that's what your dream is and that's great. But sometimes you don't know the full vision. So even if you don't know what that dream is just yet, still hold on to it in some way. Like you're not too old to just, you might just have to pivot. You might be broke for a while. But the money will come and you will find somebody that believes in you. And as somebody said earlier, you just need one. You don't need a huge circle. You just need one. So.
I want to add to that because being, as I said before, a former people pleaser, I looked to my family and friends when I was starting my business. And all of them was like, lashes, makeup, what? Like nobody got it. And when I literally had lashes sitting in my house for a year because I was afraid to sell them. So when I literally just stepped out and did it, the people I'd never even talked to were my biggest supporters. And they were like, I've been watching you. I've been following you. I've been wanting you to win. And I heard whenever you talk about your story, I've always wanted you to win. I've always been there supporting you. And you never know who is watching you. You never know who's had their eye on you. They don't have to be in your face to support you or to just see where you're going. So I think for me, it was not relying on family and friends, but knowing that someone out there will get it.
Yeah, Kalita, she shared with me early on. She was like, yeah, sometimes, people closest to you are not going to support you just because. So sometimes you just never know who's watching. Because it was some years since I seen Kalita. We worked together at one point, and then you don't even know even who watching you. Like, I'm just posting this. So my advice would be just keep pushing, keep putting out content. Somebody watching. Like Tina, she probably didn't know I've been watching her content. I'll be like, okay, I see Tina content. Okay, sometimes I'm lazy and I might not hit the likes, but trust me, there's people watching. Now, when you share something interesting, I'm sharing because, I don't know, because I order Kalita shoes, but I'm a 4-inch better because I'm a short girl. So I love heels. But I was like, I'm about to rock your heels, Kalita. Y'all gonna see a whole fashion shoot. I'm about to be like, hey, people gonna think that this is my shoe line. Because people have asked me, like, you sell lip gloss? No. That's my girl. So what, again, I want to know, Ida, so you was talking about, your dream with the colleges. So what would you tell someone that's like out there that's looking at this video that just caught it and just like, I'm thinking about, following my dream. What would your advice be for her?
I would say the first thing, like, just assess like what your worst case, and this is how I proceed in my life. I always assess my worst case scenario. My worst case scenario is can y'all hear me? Because I hear like some feedback. And it's very like scratchy. Y'all hear that?
Mm-hmm. Now it stopped.
Okay, good. So I always assess my worst case scenario, which is for me, as I'm single, meaning I'm not married. I got a boo. But I'm single and I don't have any kids. My worst case scenario is I lose my income. Okay, so what if everything went to shit? What would happen? Oh, I can go home and live with my mama. So first, assess your worst case scenario. If your worst case scenario leave you living out your car or leave you with no car in the house, then you may have a different path than me. I've not, over the years I've worked, not, established a lifestyle I can't maintain with a regular job. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to lose. If I have to take a job paying less or part-time so I can pursue my dream, is that going to impact how I live? Probably not. So always do that assessment first is my advice. And then find somebody, if you can, who's doing what you want to do. And if you don't have the nerve to approach them yet, at least follow them, read all of their content. And I'm a person, I read all the comments too, because you also want to see how they're interacting with people. And like, you may see somebody who you admire, you go in the comments and somebody's asking them a question and they're like, for Crystal, she probably knows this, I don't quote my prices online. You have to text me. So you might be like, okay, well, maybe you're okay with people handling their potential clients like that. Maybe you're not. So like, let me move on. So find somebody who you can talk to. I'm not going to say a mentor because a mentor is a huge responsibility, but just somebody you can talk to and bounce ideas off of, and then do your own research. People are like, I got a class to tell you how to start your business. That's fantastic. But their business is telling people how to start businesses, but do they have a business? So make sure you do your research. This is all stuff you can do by yourself for free. So that would be my advice. Assess your worst case scenario and then, find somebody to talk to or a mentor and, journal. I would say I journal. But, you want to talk to yourself like, okay, well, I looked at this and I didn't really like that. And, this is what I really want to do, because it's easy for us to get so caught up in seeing something on Instagram or seeing something somewhere. And all of a sudden you were going to sell lashes, but now you're selling magnetic lashes, like stay the course. So that would be my thing, because I just feel like magnetic lashes are, they're not for everybody. So what are you trying to do? Like, stay the course. Once you decide what you want to do, stay the course. So that would be
that again. Stay the course. That's my advice. I tell people that all the time. Like, people like to jump over and they haven't even mastered the first thing. You be like, okay, well, why don't you master it?
I thought you was in high school. Now you're doing permanent eyebrows? Oh, okay.
You're doing too much. So, Kalita, I want to jump to you because you are the jack of all, okay? So what would your advice be? Because Kalita, I don't even think she sleeps. Because I'm like,
I sleep. What my advice is, just to piggyback on Ida, is definitely I had a mentor. This shoe collection that I have, I paid a mentor because I was scared to do it afraid. So sometimes when you're scared to do it afraid, you might need someone who's walked those steps before, just to get you to that point where you can, have a successful launch or even feel the confidence to push it out there, because two heads are better than one. So I will say that. And also will say that you have to believe in yourself beyond anything that happens, failures, disappointment, everything. And you're your biggest. So inside you have to know this is a dream regardless of what happens, and regardless if nothing sells. Like I put it out there, nobody buys, it sits here for 6 months. I'm going to keep going because this was my dream. I need to now figure out why. So you always want to be able to go back and edit yourself. So just keep editing. And that's all I do. I just get a lot of information. I invested more in myself, I think, in the last 2 years than I have in any other year. And I've hired coaches to help me, even a coach that helped me even decide what was my dream. Because I knew it wasn't working where I was. I hired a coach, like a soul coach, to help me discover what was my dream. What did my dream even look like? And even after you get to that dream, if you get there and you find out that's not what I wanted to be, then you might want to go back and then decide again, okay, well, what is my next dream? Now that I've hit the milestone, what's the next step? Let me go back and figure that out.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
Kalida,
Yeah.
I love to hear, because I know this happens a lot. Like, do you feel your money was well spent and worth spent hiring coaches? Like, was that a good experience for you? If you were to advise someone, would you tell them to do it again? Would you do it again?
Absolutely. I would tell them to definitely do it again. Even if the coach is a bad coach, you learn what not to do.
Okay.
And when in that coaching segment. So you're going to pick up something from your money is going to be well spent. It's going to be a lesson, or it's going to be event. It's going to be something that helps you. So I would absolutely do it again. My coach actually was very helpful. And she, like I said, I don't think I would have got here as fast without her.
Okay.
So I definitely would do it again.
Because that's a big thing now. Like, we have coaches for everything. And so it's all of a sudden it's getting muddied, and we're like, okay, what's real and what's not? So okay.
Right.
So before we move any forward, because there's somebody out here watching, like, what is a coach, or how do you find a coach? So you just open the door, Kalida. So for that person that's watching that, like, okay, because I even hear like people that say, okay, I don't know how to find a counselor. Well, we're not talking about that today. But how do you find a coach, if that woman is watching this? Because most people have not ever heard of a coach.
You see them all over IG, I think. Like, my sister.
Don't tell nobody to start on IG.
It's like I see them everywhere. I don't even know where you get them. I see. So my sister is a coach, because there's a coach for everything. She used to have bulimia, so now she coaches people on healthy eating. So I know she does that, and she speaks from experience. But it's like, I don't know. That's true. Where do you find coaches? That's a good question.
Well, I would say, if you resonate with the person, start to dig a little bit deeper. Okay. So it's just about, if they have something that you think you want, if it appears to be, then you want to start to dig deeper and make sure they have it first. And if they do, then you might want to go ahead and invest in a coach. Even start with most of them will give a free consultation, so you can get a one-on-one to see if it's a good fit with. By the time you finish that 30 minutes or hour with them, you'll know. You'll know. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm going to find me a coach when I'm finished.
I need a social media coach because I can't stand it.
Social media is hard work. It's hard work.
Yeah, it's about to drive
Very
me crazy.
Hard work. And I want to piggyback on that. Sometimes one of my last coaches, sometimes if you don't like it, don't do it. Hire, it just pays to pay somebody else who's good at it. You don't have to do it alone. So
I like that. I don't like cleaning up, and I've been trying to get a maid forever. But everybody's like, yeah, but 1-bedroom apartment. But so,
No. Yeah, pay someone.
That's how you think.
Yeah.
So, Dina, you've been kind of quiet. What advice would you give? Because you mentioned earlier you work in corporate America, but you're stepping outside of your, 9 to 5 and doing other things. So what advice would you give to that woman that, because we get comfortable. I know I, am comfortable because I'm a little older now. So you get set in your ways. And you're like, okay, I just want to retire. I just want to be, be safe. But it's really, like Kalida said, it's not safe anymore because things are changing and you can easily be let go. So what advice would you give that woman?
So a couple things in that one. I think, for me, I was taught early on, you got to get an education. You got to get a good job. You stay at that job and you do that thing for the rest of your days. And you be committed, be a good worker, be hard working. And you get into that silo and then you're like, okay, but if something happened to me tomorrow, they going to put another one of me right in that spot and not care nothing about what just happened, right? And I'm learning that the more I'm, the higher you go, the more you learn the politics of it all, I should say. and you get more exposed to the politics of it all. And it's just so weird to me how doggy dog things are and how people are really maneuvering. And I was just like, I really sat back and was like, look, I give people 12 and 14 hours of my day every single day and don't get paid for the extras, right? And I'm like, I need to start giving myself some of that time for whatever the reason may be, whether it's just for me or to do something that I would like to do and love to do. And it's so funny because when I was little, I don't want to put no age on myself, but I'm not, old school yet, I don't think. But, I always wanted to have somewhere where I was working where I was swiping somebody's credit card. I wanted to swipe a credit card. I wanted to be able to have someone come and pay me. I used to have visions of owning a hair salon, but I can't do hair, not even my own, okay? I ain't got nothing on it. But I wanted to have a salon. It was that lifestyle. It was that everybody coming in, leaving out glamorous, made up, all of that. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to have a spot. Like all these ideas would come into my head of what I could do and how I could do it. But all in actuality, it's like I just wanted to do something that was going to leave a stamp for me, right? I wanted you to have something that I had created, right? That when I'm gone and long gone, you still got this one thing and you're like, you know what? This person created this. They started this. They built this. And I'm starting my dream from a young, from a little dream and very small right now. But I would just tell the person, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't think that whatever it is that you are doing, whatever it is that you're creating is lesser than. Because I do sometimes grab my product. I make candles. I'll grab my product and I'll just relook at it and say, oh, this is worth something. Maybe you might not know it yet, but this is worth something. This is good enough. I'll say, is there something I want to change about it? Is it something that, is not to my liking? And every time I end up with no answer. And so when I end up with that no answer, I'm like, don't change nothing. They'll get it one day and just keep moving. Somebody is going to love it one day once they figure it out. And then, what's funny is I don't know if it's, I'm a spiritual person to an effect, but I can't quote the Bible. Okay, Lola. Was it Pastor Lola? I can't do it, but my mama can, but I can't. But I do feel like God puts people or messages in your way or in your ear or in your face, the unsuspected phone call, the unsuspected DM or the comment on your picture. He puts things in your face so that it can remind you that you are worthy, you are good, keep pushing, it'll happen. Just out the blue. Like I had, I sold some candles to a friend or wax melts to a friend, and she bought them, I don't know how long ago, and I didn't expect her to tell me anything. And all of a sudden I was sitting there questioning, should I change this? Should I do this differently? And she texts me out the blue and she says, I just started burning this one and everybody keep asking me, what is it? I'm like, oh God. So she's like, but not in the bad way, in the good way. She was like, I think you're on to something. Not a friend I talk to every day. It's a childhood friend. But that did something to me. That sparked some more fire under me. That made me want to get up, go down into the workshop. Okay, we're going to do this. Let me see what else I can come up with. It just gave you motivation. So accept the good feedback and the advice that you get along the way to keep sparking and relighting that fire. Listen to people. Don't listen to the negative, listen to the positive. And definitely don't give up because ain't no quitters over here. So
what you just said was a good point because my grandma always said, chew the meat, spit out the bone. So I might not agree with everything you say, but I'm going to take in some of that meat because something that you can use. Or like Kalita said, okay, you can learn from the bad. So is there anyone else that want to add to that advice? Because somebody's going to watch this later on. Okay, Crystal.
Oh, okay. I definitely wanted to piggyback on what Dina just said. That's actually happened to me. I was very down and just frustrated about things one day, and I had worked with a team of writers and hadn't heard or talked to them in about 3 months, and called me. My one friend called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, Crystal, we're starting our new project next month, and we want to know if you want to come on as a producer." I was like, yes, of course. But I said, I cannot believe that this just happened, because when I tell you I was in a bad space, in a bad mental space, and I get that phone call. So when Dina said that story just now, that totally is hit me, because I've definitely been there. I've definitely just was not just not happy, just not in a good space, just not financially, um, and just my writing and just everything. I really wanted to get my podcast going. I didn't know what to do, and I would get on the phone with Kea, but I still was down. And I get that call, and I was like, yes. So things like that will happen, and you just have to stay the course and just keep believing in yourself. So that's
I
it.
absolutely agree. So, like I said, we're not gonna stay all night. So, do anyone else want to add anything before we like close out with that woman that's watching or that girl that's watching? Because, like, even with Amber, that young lady that's out there that's like, okay, well, I don't know any DAs, I don't know, and we settle. Because I was a scaredy cat. I was scared to leave home. I was like, so, like, that was my biggest thing. So, my cousin just got on me earlier because I was telling her son to go travel the world. I tell everybody, just go out. So, a lot of times we're scared because so what would you tell that woman that may have to go to a college or something, like, that she's afraid to go leave, her home?
I would say assess the risk, and I would say do it. Like, you have nothing to lose besides sitting up somewhere 10 years from now, like, well, they asked me to come on American Idol, but I told them, I had to work. I couldn't lose my job. Like, you don't want to live with regret. That's just an example. Nobody asked me to come on American Idol, but you don't want to live with regret. And it's not going to, like, it doesn't cost you a lot to indulge in an experience, or just to see if you don't like something. That's why when I meet kids, people in college right now, and they're working at summer job, they H&M at the mall, I'm like, listen, I don't know your circumstance, but you need to intern on your summers during college. Why? Because you don't want to waste time after you get your degree trying out jobs. I was like, intern. And they're just like it never occurred to them. And I'm like, yeah, I waited till my last semester in college to intern. So that was a mistake I made. But I mean, it worked out, whatever. But I always tell people, like, assess what's the worst case scenario. And if there's not something life-threatening, just do it.
And to piggyback off what Ida said, sorry, you guys, I was having the worst time. It kept kicking me out on my phone, so I had to get on to my laptop. Anyways, to piggyback off, this literally what Ida said is how I live my life. Literally what I tell myself is, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? Okay, I literally assess it. I'm like, I'm going through the motion. I'm like, okay, this can happen, this can happen, this can happen. And you'll find out it's not that bad, right? And most of the time, it's not the worst that can happen. So I would say, when you're afraid, just really think, like, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is if you add something, they say no. You apply somewhere, they say no. But that's not the worst, right? Because you never know what other opportunities on the other door. And if you had never done it, you would have never known if they were to say yes or no. So you just kind of have to go with that. And I always say, be positive. You create from your mind, right? You don't create just from sitting here or whatever. Everything is, your thoughts generate what happens. Of course, life is going to be life, but your thoughts are so powerful. So you be positive in your mind. You be that person that navigates your life the way you would like it to be. Of course, life is going to happen, and I'm not saying that's going to direct your entire life, but with your dreams, with your goals, with your aspirations, you create that in your mind. You're the only person that can tell yourself that it cannot happen. You're the only person that can tell yourself that it's not good enough. It doesn't matter what everybody else says. It's based off what you create in your mind. And a lot of the times, it's not just your conscious mind, it's also your unconscious mind, right? Your subconscious, what's happening even when you're sleeping, what's happening even when you don't know it's in the back of your head. You have to keep your thoughts positive. You have to keep your thoughts, uplifted, and always have your thoughts. It doesn't matter if someone tells you it's not good or whatever. If you have that positive thought, like, hey, this is a great idea. This is good. This is going to be good. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. It doesn't hurt to say it out loud. Like, I am this. I am an attorney. I am a producer. I am a director. You do that, and you start to develop a mindset as whatever it is that you want to be, right? I can't just sit here and say I'm this and not also direct my energy toward that. Maybe research and reading books on, if I want to be a real estate, reading books about real estate, getting into school, you also have to put it into motion, right? So I would say create positive thoughts and take that overt act to make sure those things manifest and become everything that you would like it to become.
So Tina, awesome word, Amber, but I didn't want Tina to think that I wasn't going to pick on her. So when I say pick on her, because she's an author. So I know for me, I knew I wanted to write, but it was the actual doing it. So I tell people all the time, all of us have a story. It's just executing that story. Because, people, you'll sit down and really be talking to somebody, you'd be like, really? That's a story right there. Whether it's what we're talking about, there's a book on that. So Tina, what would you tell that person that has this story that is like burning in their soul? Like they just want to tell this story, whether it's poetry, whatever it is they want to do. How would you tell that person to push forward and get it done? Or, your advice? Because, so I have one young lady that's working with our, Monique, I'm going to shout out Make Your Mark Publishing, where she had a bad moment where somebody basically messed her up and took her money. So what would be your advice for that woman that wants to publish? They're self-publishing, they're regular publishing. What advice would you give that woman?
Well, I would say the first thing, I get asked this a lot, like in my DMs, like, I want to write a book, or, I have this story I want to tell, but how do I go about it? Because sometimes it's very overwhelming, right? When you have like the personality where you just kind of want to sit and get something done, and it takes a while, it's easy to kind of walk away from it. So I would say every day, dedicate some time to whatever your craft is. So if you're writing this book, dedicate some time to it. A lot of us have spoken on this panel today. We've all worked in corporate America and had our dreams on the side. Do not give your 9 to 5 all of your energy. Make sure you save some energy for later for what you're trying to do, what you're trying to manifest in your own life. And so I think that's the biggest thing. Every day, making sure whatever you're working on, and we're talking about a book, make sure you are working on your craft and section it out until you're done. And that's literally what I've done. That's advice I've given to other writers who were able to kind of accomplish their dreams as well. Just manifest it, do the work, make sure you're writing every day until you're done.
So I'm going to ask you another question. So, people like gifts. People want other people to believe in them. Mm-hmm. But, when people realize that you had to put a lot of money into that, what do you say about that? Because you got to pay for, your editors, you got to pay for, stuff to get done. So what advice would you give to that person who's hesitant? Like, well, what if I, my book don't go nowhere? What if nobody buys my book and, they're on the fence about, writing that book?
I would say you have to look at it like an investment in yourself. We are getting our hair done, we're shopping, we're doing all these things. Your book is pretty much, that's a new life for you. That's an investment in yourself. That's an investment in your future. When I spent all that money, I had that same doubt, right? Like, I don't know if this is going to do anything, but at the same time, I believe in myself. I had a village of people who believed in me as well. And so I knew that, I've made all these companies a lot of money. I've helped other people get to where they were trying to go. And so you have to have that same faith in yourself. If you don't have it in yourself, how do you expect the next person to have it for you? So you really, really have to know that it's an investment and know that you're putting your money in it, but you're also putting your faith and your heart and your time into it as well. It's going to be as successful as you make it.
And I think we've all said that it's expensive, because like whether it's a student loan or your time, it's an investment. Like with Misha, with the makeup brushes, because makeup is expensive. That's why I be like, you don't get this face every day.
Mm-hmm.
No, like it's serious. So we are doing some awesome things. So before we close out, I don't want to miss anyone. Anyone else has anything else to say?
I did have something quick to say before we get out. There's something I think is important for women, particularly. I want us not to be afraid of our own strength. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to say something because you don't want to be called a bitch. Because a lot of us might be in male-dominated industries. Speak up. Because the men are doing it. And I think that's the biggest thing, particularly where I work. So I work in the emergency room. Emergency room doctors, most of them are white males. I let quick speak up. Now, some of them have something quick to say, but after a while, it's like, then they'll grudgingly respect you. You have to take your respect. And so even if it's out of character, so I think I have two speeds. I go all the way or I'm chilling. And I like to chill. Chilling is easier, but there are times when I have to go all the way. And but I'm not aggressive. I don't think I am. Some people might say different. But I have to be in your face sometimes. Because if I believe in something, if I want respect, I have to take it. And where I work, the kind of thing I do, I have to. Because when something comes in, if I have to run a room, if I'm not using the bass of my voice, if I'm not pointing and saying what needs to be done, they're going to take over. And that doesn't make you feel good. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, there's going to be a point where you're going to have to say, stop. And take control of the room. Sell yourself. You're the best person that can sell yourself.
Absolutely. Like, if you don't believe in yourself, who gonna believe in you? Because you're not gonna be, confident. You just like out here want somebody to believe in you or invest in you. Because I know so many people that you're awesome. Just invest in yourself. Like you said, you don't have to jump out there and just go all the way overboard, but you know your limits, like Ida said earlier. Assess the situation. Maybe you can negotiate some stuff or work some stuff out. But again, if it's your dream, you will figure it out. Because I was just like, what if nobody buys my book? I was like, okay, do I really want to spend this money? But like you guys said, we'll buy hair. This weekend I ate so much money. I'm supposed to be watching my weight, but we eat it up. What we want to do. So in closing, I'm just going to start with Misha. So Misha, I'm going to put everybody's name back up here. How can we find you, Misha?
I am on Instagram and YouTube at Misha Allen, and my business is Queen of Life Cosmetics. It is on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, so when you guys go, can you type your information in the comments so they can see it? Because a lot of times people don't have pen and papers, and we got short attention spans here. So I do. I blame it on my age now. So Crystal, how can we find you on social media platforms and shout out your business?
I'm Crystal Lynette on YouTube and Crystal Lynetta on Instagram, and I will put that in the chat. And just stay tuned. We got a lot of content coming, and writing a screenplay right now. So please pray for me. So I'm writing a screenplay and a film short. So please pray for me, and you'll be seeing me soon. Thank you.
Will do. Miss Dina, do you have one of your candles to show us? Because she has the prettiest candles.
Sure.
She got it behind her. I didn't know.
All right. So you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Posh Potions Candle Bar. I also have my mobile bar, that's Posh Potions Mobile Bar. Same name on both platforms. And I don't know, let me see, I'm new to this. Can you see one of my candles? This is my, this is Honey Love. This is everyone's favorite candle that orders. It smells very good. It has hints of vanilla and oatmeal and honey. It is very relaxing. It's a 14-ounce candle. It's pretty big. This is a pink iridescent glass that it's in. I don't know if you can tell that from this. But this is everyone's fave. But
I think I want to try it.
Yeah, I like that one. But this one is my favorite. This is Velvet Rope. And it is in this nice metallic vessel. And yeah, so if you want to shop with me, you can definitely do so. I'm actually going to have a happy hour sale that starts, it's actually live right now, but it's not going to be posted till tomorrow. So if you go over to my website, you can definitely check me out. You won't be disappointed. But yeah, that's how you can reach me. Now I don't know how to put my comments in this chat. That's why I ain't saying nothing over here the whole time. So I'm gonna put it in our private chat, and maybe one of you lovely ladies can help me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tina, go ahead and tell us, how can we support you? How can we find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Tina_Red_Wordsmith. My nickname is the Wordsmith here in Chicago and a few other places. You can purchase my book, God Mere Karma, on my website. That's www.tinaredthewordsmith.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.com.
Awesome. Amber, how can we find you on social media platforms or show you some love?
You can just find me on Instagram at Amber_Rose, ROSEI. I'm also on Facebook, but honestly, Instagram would be the best method to get in contact with me.
And Miss Kalita. Kalita got a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. Well, if you want to find me, the easiest way will be to go under my brand Kalita Rose, which is ROZE, not ROSC, Kalita Rose. And I would comment it, but I haven't been able to comment too like Dina. So, Kalita Rose, and on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and shopkalitarose.com on my website.
Awesome. Miss Lola, Dr. Lola, how can we find you?
So my name at Lola Ajisafi on YouTube. Same name on Instagram, but I'm at GSafe2K, and pretty much that's where you can find me. If you need to ask me questions, I'm open. I'm not really that aggressive. I sometimes come off a little but Lola's really chill and calm and kind. So yeah. But yeah, just everyone, just believe in yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. I think we're all saying the same thing. Believe in yourself, and I want us to lean on each other. Because really, if we do that, we can run this thing. We're letting them run it right now, but we can. That's what I believe. Thank you for having me.
Ida, and you're welcome. Thank you for coming.
I know I was late.
No, that's not why I'm saying. I'm going to close, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Ida, go ahead.
I'm at IMC713 on all the things. I always say Instagram is great. Facebook is okay, but please don't play on my Twitter because that's for work. So at IMC713 on all the things. And I don't know what I could offer to anyone who's watching or anyone who has questions, but I'm always open to answer any questions. From eyebrows to resumes, it doesn't matter. Like, just you can send me a DM. I answer all my DMs. Even if it's me blocking somebody, that's still an answer, right? But no, sometimes people are rude. But I answer all my DMs. So like, if you have a question about anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If you send me a DM on Instagram, I'll answer it.
Awesome. So in closing, I just want to thank you all, because again, this is my first live. So I'm a perfectionist. So sometimes I was stumbling because I was trying to figure out how to work this. So now I think I'm going to be better, but this is still not my thing. I'm going to leave it to Crystal and Lola and Kojo. But I did feel like this had to be a discussion that we needed to talk about. So I just want to thank all the ladies for coming on.
Say something, Kia. Don't leave it to somebody else, because somebody right now is at home, been wanting to go live, and they saw you say this is your first time. And I think it went really well.
So do I. It was wonderful.
Listen, I'm sweating on dress.
That's okay.
I'm waiting on the next live, and I was about to say, don't be trying to stun on us when you getting A-list on your live. And I'm like, and then I'm in the comments at Kia, and you're not even shouting me out. I'm like,
no.
Excuse me? Yeah,
Ida, you
great.
We have not met. Me and Ida said we hooking up, so we going to New Orleans. I said not Texas. We'll meet in New Orleans.
Yeah, if anybody wants to come, we're going to New Orleans. We're waiting on a few people to tell us their work schedule. I put the PTO in and book the flight in the same breath.
And Crystal invited me to Atlanta, so I'm like, I got all kind of.
Oh, wait a minute! I'm also open to Atlanta.
I was gonna say everybody's invited to Atlanta. I've already invited Misha and Kia, so
I'm in Atlanta right now.
Actually, you gotta match up with me. So
I'm open to Atlanta.
This is where so I work in New York, but I live. My house is in Atlanta.
Oh my gosh!
Where in Atlanta do you stay? If you can say the area.
I'm outside of Atlanta 30 minutes. I'm in Douglas.
Where the money reside.
Right.
We all have each other's IG names, so we have to link up. He's like, okay, where are you at? Because Ida had me so like rolling one night because I posted on my IG that I ended up at McDonald's and I was so disgusted. But I missed lunch. You know how you work for corporate America, and I just got so caught up. So in Michigan, there's no restaurants open like at a certain time. So I'm riding just like I'm on a field trip, literally like driving. I'm not going in the house.
Amber, you better let her know we know all the spots. I'm talking about gravy at 12 a.m. Okay,
That's all.
She said
Baby.
a whole soul food meal.
Yes.
So I do. Like I said, I thank you guys for being patient with me because again, it was a little nerve-wracking trying to figure out where you guys were
You
at.
did amazing.
It was
I think
great.
you're good.
And this is, I want to say this, like, if you would not have said that, I would not have had a comment or any feedback for you. So don't second guess yourself. I personally was like, damn it, like, this was nice. You know,
Professional.
don't second guess yourself.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation.
That's the word. Don't second guess yourself.
You know, that's a conversation about, you know, when you're around certain people that tear you down and then you get a complex and you always wonder why you that way. Because I'm a perfectionist. And I know where it came from. And I catch myself doing that because it's another topic. So hit me up. We can talk about that because that's that real conversation.
Yeah, because, baby, only Jesus was perfect.
I get it. But that's one of the ones we have to bring, you know, a nice little cooler or something.
And Atlanta.
Kia, when you sent that question list, when you sent them questions, I was like, oh, she's good. She is good for this.
And she sent the invitation link like 3 days in advance.
No,
Good job.
I had
Good
I
job.
had my hookah set up, and I was like, "Oh, she's serious. Let me not. Some of the lives have been a little ratchet, girl. I was like, let me set up my hookah. I'm like, oh, she's for real. Oh, okay, let me not do that.
She's a professional.
I was like, wait, Misha, there's 14 questions? And she said, no, I think it's 12. I said, oh my God.
So
Right. I was like, I'm gonna have to freestyle, child.
Thank you. So when I hit you up again, it's like come back because I got some topics, you know, that I was like some real topics. Like we're gonna come back because I went on a little lunch date today and he had printed tea and a gym shoe and I was like,
What kind of, did he have on some Dadas? What kind of gym shoe?
we have to talk offline, Ida. I was not
Okay, because we got these people here taking us seriously, and now we about to be petty. Bye, y'all. Bye. We're about to be petty in private. Bye.
Like,